Today I'm going to talk about protecting plants during the winter. It might be delicate roots underground that could be destroyed by a penetrating frost, or it might be those delicate plants that stand above ground. Either way, I'll give you some great tips to get them through the winter and are flourishing again next spring. Where I live, I've got fantastic drainage, so I've decided to leave my dahlia tubers in the ground. I've chopped the tops off because they were dying off, but if we get really penetrating frost, that can get down into the soil and those tubers will turn to mush. So even though they're underground, I still need to protect them. So I'm going to use a couple of different things. There's a product called Strolch, which you can use, which is like a lovely mineralised straw. You can put a nice thick layer of that around the base of your plant, and that acts like a duvet. It stops the frost getting down into the ground, and it'll just prevent those dahlia tubers being turned to absolute mush. You can use that, or also, if you wanted to, you can use bark mulch. Either of these will do exactly the same thing. They'll protect the soil around the base of the plant, they'll stop that frost getting down into the ground, and next spring it'll keep the weeds down, it'll keep the moisture in the ground, and also as it rots down, they add organic material to the soil. So that's a great way of protecting those tubers through the winter, but also improving your soil at the same time. And by the way, this mineralised straw product actually deters slugs and snails as well. If you've got plants in pots, especially Mediterranean plants that could be destroyed by cold and severe frost in winter, you can take them into a greenhouse. They don't need to be warm, as long as they're 2 or 3 degrees above freezing, that will be fine. It could be a shed, it could be a garage, it could be a spare room, it could be a conservatory that you don't heat. As long as it's cool, as long as the frost isn't going to get in, as long as there's lots of light and you keep them on the dry side, they'll be protected through the winter, and you can bring them out during the milder spells and permanently again in the following spring. If you've got really large plants in pots you can't move, or they're growing in the open ground and you can't move them indoors, then there are other things you can do to protect them. If it's a palm tree, for example, you can gather up the leaves or the fronds of the palm, tie them together, and then you can go around with horticultural fleece to give them that protection they need to get them through the winter. Now I've tied the fronds of this palm together, I'm going to go around with horticultural fleece. This is actually double layered, it's 2-ply. So go round and go round the pot as well. You want to do the whole thing. You might need somebody else to help you with it, but just go round and round and round. I like to go around about a dozen times and bring it up a little bit higher towards the top. Keep going round like so, like so, like so. So you've got a really, really nice thick layer of this. And the good thing about this is it'll keep the frost out, it'll keep the wind out, but it actually lets the light through so the plant won't go yellow and die underneath the fleece. I've gone round this palm about a dozen to 15 times with the fleece. Then I've tied the fleece off on the top end, like the end of a Christmas cracker. I've tied it round in the middle as well. And then round the base where the pot is, I've used some old packaging foam that came with a delivery. And I've put a nice layer of that around there because it's also important to make sure the roots of your plant don't freeze. Obviously, if they're above ground, you can use that. If they're underground, then use the Strolch or the bark mulch to protect the roots. But now, this palm will be nice and safe through the winter. Put it in the warmest, most sheltered, sunniest, dry spot of the garden if you can move it. Or if not, it will be secure underneath this fleece. It'll get through that colder winter. Then in the spring you can remove it and it can grow away again happily in the following year. Tree ferns sometimes need protection in the winter. What I do with mine is I cut the leaves off, I cut the leaves into segments, I put them on the top of the trunk, and then I put a big thick layer of fleece or foam over the top and tie that to the trunk, and that just stops the frost getting in and damaging the little tiny new leaves that sit in the middle of the trunk, ready to emerge next spring. Eventually, I'll protect this banana in the same way I protected the palm tree, except I'll cut the leaves off the banana and then I'll just go around that stem about 15 times with the fleece, tie it off on the end, and then I'll put some mulch, some bark or some Strolch around the base. That way this banana tree will grow back from this height and get bigger and bigger in 2026.